The year was 1944. The place was a desolate stretch of no man's land near the Vistula River. The earth here wasn't just dirt. It was a graveyard of iron. The retreating army had left behind a devil's garden, a massive, dense field of hidden mines, tripwires, and booby traps designed to turn a fast advance into a bloody standstill. Sergeant Victor Slowhand Belinsky was a sapper. He didn't carry a machine gun or lead charges. He carried a thin steel probe, a pair of rusted pliers, and a stethoscope. His war was fought on his hands and knees, inches away from a sudden silent end. The stagnant morning. The air was thick with the smell of wet soot and frozen mud. Everything was lent slow. The infantry sat in their trenches, watching Victor. They knew that until he cleared a path, they were prisoners of the earth. Victor moved into the field. He didn't walk, he flowed. Every step was a calculation. He would shift his weight to his heel, then slowly, painfully lower his toe. If the ground gave even a millimeter too much, he stopped. "Do you think he's even breathing out there?" whispered a young soldier from the trench, watching Victor through binoculars. "If he breathes too hard, he might shake the earth," his veteran comrade replied. "Just watch his hands. That's where the life is." The ire rose. Victor found the first one. It was a S-mine, known as the Bouncing Betty. If triggered, it would jump waist-high into the air before exploding, sending shrapnel in every direction. It was buried just beneath a clump of dead grass. He lay flat on his belly. The mud was freezing, soaking through his tunic, but he didn't feel the cold. He felt the vibration. He used his wooden metal probes, could set off magnetic fuse, and gently felt for the edges of the mine. This was the Lent duel. He spent 30 minutes just clearing the dirt around the 3 small prongs of the fuse. He moved with the precision of a diamond cutter. One slip, one tremor of the hand, and he would vanish in a flash of orange light. The hidden thread. Just as he prepared to neutralize the fuse, he saw it. A ghost wire. It was a hair-thin copper wire, painted dull green, leading away from the mine to a secondary charge hidden in a nearby crate. It was a trap for the sappers, a double blind. Victor stopped. He closed his eyes and listened. He didn't listen for the sound of guns. He listened to the silence of the field. He followed the wire with his fingertips, moving through the mud like a blind man reading Braille. The tension in the wire was perfect. If he cut it, a sudden release would trigger the second bomb. If he pulled it, it would trigger the first. He had to create a bridge. He reached into his kit and pulled out 2 small clamps and a length of bypass wire. His fingers were blue from the cold, but as they touched the wire, they became steady. He clamped the bridge in place, bypassing the trigger. He moved with a rhythmic Lent grace, his heart beating a slow, steady pulse that matched the stillness of the ground. The path of life. For 4 hours, Victor worked in that single 20-yard circle. He cleared 4 mines and 2 tripwires. By the time he finished, he was covered in a crust of gray mud, his eyes bloodshot from the strain of staring at the dirt. He stood up and pulled a roll of white tape from his pocket. He laid it down on the ground, creating a narrow, safe lane. He didn't wave or cheer. He simply turned back to the trench and gave a small, weary nod. The echo of the advance, the infantry moved forward. They walked in a single file line, their boots hitting the white tape exactly where Victor had placed it. They passed him in silence, some tapping him on the shoulder, some too afraid to look at the man who had just played chess with death. As the sun began to set, casting long skeletal shadows across the field, Victor sat on the edge of a crater. He pulled out a piece of dry bread and began to eat, his hands finally allowing themselves a slight tremor. The captain walked up to him. "You saved a company today, Victor. You made it look easy." Victor looked at the white tape stretching across the field. "It's never easy, Captain. The ground has a lot to say. You just have to be lent enough to hear the whispers." The war eventually moved across the river and into the heart of the city. The Devil's Garden was eventually plowed over, and the flowers grew back. But the men who walked that white tape never forgot the man who knelt in the mud, holding their lives in his steady, dirt-stained hands.